Four-time Emmy-winning producer for NBC Sports is her due. Today, we're talking about her who. Kaitlin Urka, thank you so much for taking the time.
So glad to be here. Thank you.
So I just wanted to get started. We're going to dig deep today. So if I were really going to get to know you, if I really were going to get to know Kaitlin Urka, what would I need to know?
Ooh. I think the first thing is how much my family and friends mean to me. They are the foundation of everything that I do and have ever done in my life, and everything that every achievement I've ever had, anything that I try to accomplish, they're always at the forefront of my mind, making them proud, doing things that would honor them, and making sure that I put them in front of everything, because life can get really busy. Your job can kind of take over, and just remembering that they're the most important thing at the end of the day is something that's crucial to me and the success that I've had.
So within our field, we're working lots of nights, lots of weekends. We're away from family, especially during crucial holidays. Do you have a memory of, when you were on the road and when you were most reminded of your family?
That's a great question. I would say, and this is, it's sad, but I can look back on it and be thankful. I was traveling this past year and got a phone call actually as I was switching flights to head from working a football game to producing a hockey game, and I found out that my grandfather passed away. And so I'm sitting in an airport, bawling, devastated. And that night I was producing the game, and I had to make a split-second decision, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And I swear I felt my grandfather there telling me the right answer. And I made the call, and it was the right call. And, in that moment, I was just so thankful. Like, I knew he was looking out for me. I knew my family was there supporting me. And it was super hard for me to get through that game. I had everything on my mind but hockey that night. And yet I just felt so much love and support from everyone around me, and that I knew that he was there looking out for me. And I think that was something that was really powerful for me in that moment. And looking back on it, I can look back on it and say that was something that will stick with me for a very long time.
Now, I combed through your social media. We pride ourselves on research, and I did see some photos of you working Notre Dame football games, and you mentioned that reminded you of your grandfather as well. Is there anything particular about Notre Dame football, or just being within the atmosphere, that reminds you of your grandfather?
Sure. So I grew up a huge Michigan fan, and I went to the University of Michigan, and my dad is one of 6 kids. And they are all Michigan fans, but his dad, my grandfather, was a diehard Notre Dame fan, super Catholic, very into the university. And he was devastated that of the 30-some grandkids that he has, none of us went to Notre Dame. Several of us went to Michigan, and he was always really frustrated by that. He's like, you guys, why? Why could no one go to Notre Dame for me? And so he, loved that university. He made sure that we went while I was little, and went and saw a football game. And then I was so blessed that in my working and covering Notre Dame football for NBC, I was able to bring him back and get him sideline passes and walk him through the tunnel and on the field. And he cried that day. It was so emotional for him to be able to do that. And so he told me that he got over the fact that I went to Michigan because I made up for it by getting him on the field at Notre Dame. So that's always very important to me, and I think of him every time I'm back on campus.
And so it's undeniable that you're an exceptional storyteller for Emmys. Hello. But when did you start feeling comfortable telling your own story?
I don't know if I am comfortable telling my own story, to be perfectly honest. I think that's something, it still feels awkward for me to talk about myself and the things that I do. And I'm from a really small town, and I go home and people are constantly asking me about the properties that I work on and the things that I do. And it feels weird because I have friends that are doctors saving lives. I have friends that are lawyers that are fighting for justice for people, and the things that they're doing in their work lives seem a lot more powerful and impactful than the things that I'm doing. And yet I often receive extra attention for the things that I do just because TV has that. And so I sometimes still struggle with that. And being able to, when you say 4 Emmys, I kind of cringe a little bit sometimes because I don't look at those as truly any, a giant achievement. They're great. They look great on the mantelpiece. They collect a lot of dust, but they don't define who I am, and they don't really, really mean anything. They're not something that I go around and use as a sort of currency, because at the end of the day, awards are subjective. And so it's the things that will have a lasting impact on other people that I really try to put my energy and thoughts into, as far as what I do and the impact that I can have on future generations trying to work in this industry.
So what is it, you said that your Emmys, your awards, your success within your industry does not define you. So what is it that defines you?
I would say it's the impact that you have on others. I mean, my parents brought me up to, work within the community and to help other people and to leave this world a better place than you found it. So I constantly throughout my job try to find ways that I can do that. So a great example was this past year was able to help put together the first all-female NHL broadcast. We had women in front of and behind the cameras for the first time in history. That's what I'm proud of, because I know that that broadcast is going to mean something for future generations. And hopefully the impact it will have will allow more women to get into the industry and more women to be working alongside me in years to come. So those are the kinds of things that matter. Or when I can tell a story, when I help produce a feature. I worked on a feature, for example, with at the time, an 11-year-old girl. Her name was Layla Anderson. She was a St. Louis Blues super fan, and she had a rare medical condition, needed a bone marrow transplant. It saved her life. And in telling that story, the bone marrow registry folks reached out to me and they said, wow, our numbers skyrocketed with people that signed up for this because of the attention that you helped bring to the bone marrow registry and how important Be the Match that program is for people. And so that was what made me proud. I've told a lot of different stories. I've worked on a lot of different features, but knowing that the impact of that one can positively benefit other lives and hopefully make positive change moving forward, that's important to me. Like, that is what I want people to look back on someday when I leave this industry and say, that's what she accomplished.
And within my combing of your social media, that's my favorite part of my research. Something that I found is that you gave a commencement speech, or you gave a commencement graduation speech back in the day, and you quoted, "Oh, the places you'll go." And so I'm curious, for us up and comers within the industry, what advice do you have for us? What's something that you can tell us that will stick, that will resonate, that we'll remember for a long time?
I would replace Dr. Seuss today with Belva Davis, who's a journalist, and she has a great quote, and it's, don't be afraid of the space between your dreams and reality. If you can dream it, you can make it so. And that has been one of the favorite quotes that I found, because I know growing up, so many people, while everyone was very encouraging of what I wanted to do, and no one ever said, you can't do that, or, you should never do that. People are definitely in my life have said, are you sure? Like, that's going to be a very tough path, or you're probably not going to find success there, or, don't you want to just go be a lawyer? Like, they're going to make more money. Your life will be easier. Don't you want to go to law school? All those things. And I think the big thing is if you really want something, if you're passionate about something, if you see yourself doing something someday, don't give up on that dream. Continue to fight for it. It could be hard. There might be glass ceilings that you have to punch holes in to get where you want to go, but I promise you the work will be worth it in the end. And I think, you need to be true to yourself the entire time. And I think that's another important thing about it, is don't change who you are because of expectations from other people. Do what you love, be the person you want to be at the end of the day. And eventually, the cream rises to the top, right? And if you continue to work on yourself and to be that authentic self, the best parts of you will shine through, and you'll be able to accomplish whatever it is that you set your mind to.
Kaitlin, thank you so much for taking the time to share a little bit about who you are. Hopefully you get even more comfortable sharing that part of you and your story. I just wanted to add that while you're not a lawyer, you're not a doctor, what you do has an incredible impact on people. And I thank you for all that you do for women in this industry and the stories that you tell.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed being here and sharing my time with you today.